I read my late mother's real will out loud at the reading, not my stepfather's version. So my mom died in March, pancreatic cancer. It went fast, like 11 weeks from the diagnosis to the funeral. And the whole time my stepdad Dennis was the one handling everything. The appointments, the paperwork, the phone calls. I was there almost every day, but he made a point of being the one who managed things. That's the word he used. Managed. Here's the thing about my mom. She was organized in this borderline obsessive way. She had a label maker. She had a folder for the folders. 2 years before she got sick, she sat me down at her kitchen table and showed me a manila envelope and said, "Everything's in here. If anything ever happens, you know where it is." And I remember laughing and saying, "Mom, you're 58." And she said, "I'm serious, Jess. In here." So she dies. And about a week after the funeral, Dennis calls and says the reading is going to be at his lawyer's office on a Thursday at 2 p.m. And I said, "Whose lawyer?" And he goes, "Mine. Ours. It's the same thing." I said, "Mom used Sandra Whitfield. She's used her for like 20 years. And he said Sandra retired. Just like that, moved on to telling me about the parking situation. I called Sandra's office the next morning. She hadn't retired. Same practice, new suite, 10 minutes down the road. I didn't say anything to Dennis. I just went and saw her. I brought the manila envelope, the one from my mom's filing cabinet, because I knew exactly where it was because my mother told me 2 years ago. And Sandra put on her glasses and read it, and she got very quiet, and then she said, "This is the current will. This was executed in 2023. Nothing supersedes this." I asked if she was sure. She said, "Jessica, I drafted it. I witnessed it. There is no newer one." So Thursday comes. I show up at Dennis's lawyer's office in this weird beige conference room with a plate of cookies nobody touched. My aunt's there, my mom's brother, Dennis's 2 adult kids who met my mother maybe 6 times total. And Dennis is sitting at the head of the table like he's running a board meeting. His lawyer starts reading, and it's all wrong. The house goes to Dennis outright. The savings go to Dennis. My mom's retirement account gets split between Dennis's kids and me, and my share is like 11%. And I'm listening to this man read the words "in recognition of her husband's devoted care" out loud. And I'm looking at Dennis, and he's nodding along like he's hearing it for the first time. The lawyer finishes. Everybody's kind of murmuring. And Dennis says, "I know it's a lot. Your mother and I talked about this at length." And I said, "When?" He said, "Toward the end." I said, "She was on a fentanyl patch toward the end. She thought I was her sister for 2 days." He said, "Jessica, this isn't the place." And I reached into my bag and pulled out the envelope. And I said, "Actually, I think it is." The lawyer asked what that was. I said, "It's my mother's will. The real one. Dated 2023. Signed, witnessed, filed with Sandra Whitfield, who did not retire." And I looked right at Dennis when I said that last part. The room went absolutely dead. My aunt put her coffee down. I opened it and I started reading, out loud. The house goes to me, with Dennis granted the right to live in it until his death or remarriage. Her savings split between me and her brother. Her retirement account, all of it to me. And then there was a paragraph she'd added herself. And Sandra told me my mom insisted on the wording, and it said, "My daughter Jessica has been my constant. Everything I have is hers because she is the only person who never asked me for any of it." Dennis's son stood up and said, "This is a joke, right?" I kept reading. Dennis said my name, twice. Then he said, "Put that down." And I said, "You told me Sandra retired." He said, "I was mistaken." I said, "You were mistaken about the lawyer, and you were mistaken about the will, and you were mistaken about which one of us she trusted with the envelope." He said, "Your mother wanted." And I said, "My mother wanted me to know where it was. So she told me, 2 years ago, at her kitchen table, in the house that's mine now."